Hi there, I'm Kirk, and we're coming back with some more of the 1000 greatest vinyl records, and these are drawn from the collection behind me. It's been a while since we've done one of these videos, but doesn't matter because we're back now, and I've picked 3 more records that I think are deserving of being in my top 1000 lists. Remember the rules? The rules are that I have to actually own a copy on vinyl LP, so that means that even though certain albums may not appear in this list, this may only mean that I do not have a vinyl copy of them. First up today though, I've got this one. It's a fairly new album, and this is Ritual by the White Lies. And it's an album that actually, I was in HMV, remember them? A little while ago, a few years ago actually now, in Manchester, and there was some tracks playing. And I was sitting there listening to it and thinking, I like that. And then it moved on to the next track on the album. I like that as well. And by the time it got to the 3rd track, I thought, there's something in this. I've liked every track that this is playing. So I found out what it was. They didn't have a vinyl copy in the shop, so I went and tracked one down and bought it. So I believe that Strangers is one of the singles that was released off this. And there are a few others which have that sort of slight familiarity from having heard them on the radio, but I couldn't off the top of my head tell you which other ones are the singles. This album was out in 2010, so actually it's quite a few years ago that I bought it. Gosh, time really does fly. But we've got fairly simple artwork here. We've got, you know, your plain black with the white text on the back. And the front is this, I think it's quite a striking picture. And I can only assume that they're twins. Well, to me they look like twins. They may just be similar looking models made up to look alike. But to me they're twins, unless there's been some jiggery pokery. We've got fairly simplistic packaging here. So it's a single disc album. It's actually black in there. That's unusual. It's almost like it's been printed onto black card. Although that would make sense, because it does make more sense printing the back there, I suppose. But I'm not entirely sure. In fact, actually no, looking at the cross section, the entire sleeve is actually printed in the inside. It is ordinary coloured card, and it has been printed, so I don't know what that's about. Single disc, as I said before, and actually there is pretty much nothing here. We're blank on that side, and on that side, all that space, and yet they put the text down there, and it's just the credits for the album. But to be honest, I didn't buy this for the package. I bought this for the music. So we've got there a pretty heavy duty LP. That is a good heavy pressing, so the sound quality of this is really, really good. And I'll be honest with you, I can listen to it over and over again, and there is not a single bad track on this album. And it's one which, to be honest, probably deserves to go certainly into the, if not in the top 10, but certainly the top 20 of all of these 1000 albums. The next album that I've picked dates back from my student days, really, going back to where I was just venturing out, going beyond what I'd found in my parents' record collection, and developing a musical interest that was all to myself. Well, it wasn't really all to myself, there's a lot of other people getting into this group as well. But I found them back when they were kind of roughly starting out. And this album is 9 Inch Nails, The Downward Spiral. And I believe this is their, I think it's their 2nd album. I've got Pretty Hate Machine as well, which is the album before this. I'm not entirely sure, but I should have probably googled this, but I couldn't be bothered. I don't know whether there's another album in between those two. Now we get in this very strange packaging. It is gatefold. There's 2 discs here, so it's actually quite a high quality pressing. And we've got a piece of looks like a very dirty, well, it's rusty metal, and a dirty piece of mirrored something. And these look like lines of coke, but then you can see the rust dripping. But these look like teeth. I think they are teeth. And on the outside, oops, it's very strange. I think it's actually one of these sort of strange modern art type oil paintings, but with stuff stuck in the paint. To me, it's very simple artwork, but it's eye-catching. I mean, this album does stand out a mile, and really, I think that's pretty good. Plain white in the sleeve there. For we've got the. This isn't as heavy as the Ritual by the White Lies. This is probably indicative of the time period that it came out. I think it was 1994 this album came out. So this is back when I was in secondary school. But we've got a label that doesn't tell you what's on that side, just tells you that side C. But on the other side, side D, and it gives you the full track listing for what's on this side and the other side. And we've got 3 tracks per side there. So even though that's a lot floppier than the heavy vinyl press of the last album, we should still get, and we do get, fairly reasonable sound quality out of this. What was interesting was, I remember when I bought this, was probably at about the time that vinyl sales were really dropping off big time. And I can remember that it was, everywhere you went seemed to have ordered far too many copies of this on vinyl. And I remember them in the bargain bin at the time when the CD was selling for 12 quid, which at the time was quite a lot of money. The vinyl copies were all stacked up for a £5 or under, and that's when I bought my copy. And it's probably about the time when I thought, actually, I quite like vinyl. And when they were doing stuff at those sort of prices, I thought, why not? Second album, we've got plain white in a sleeve. We've got same quality of vinyl pressing, and same crack with the label on the insides. With the full track listing for both sides on the B side of this disc. We've got 3 tracks on that side and 4 tracks on that. I think 9 Inch Nails as well. For the period, a lot of people get into that sort of slightly more industrialised rock that is just so different from the poodle perm cock rock, as I heard a lot of people refer to it, of the music that came in the 1980s. And what's interesting is Trent Reznor, the guy who's behind 9 Inch Nails, in the studio he plays all the instruments himself. It is just him. But when he goes and tours live, he has 9 Inch Nails live, who obviously can't play all the instruments at once, so the live experience is very different from the studio experience. It's also worth noting that this album has the track Hurt, which was covered by Johnny Cash and did extremely well. And I think there's probably a lot of people out there who think that the Johnny Cash version is the original. Well, it's not. The original is on this album. But it has to be said that the Johnny Cash version is one of those tracks where arguably it is as good, if not better, than the original. That's not to detract from the original, it's just to say that the Johnny Cash cover is actually a really good cover. Other tracks on here that really stand out, and some of these indeed may even at the time have been singles, not that they really did well in the charts per se. We've got Mr. Self-Destruct, Piggy, Heresy, March of the Pigs. When you hear some of these, you may even recognise them from soundtracks of things like, I think Quake used some of the tracks off this as well as part of its soundtrack. Now the final album that I've picked today is part of this sort of a loose-ish sort of theme. Is one which all the goth and new romantic fans will go, oh yeah. And this is Fields of the Nephilim and Earth Inferno. Now this group is something that kind of, they're the granddaddy of a lot of the more electronic, gothy, rocky groups that came later. These guys were doing it in the 80s, and this particular album is one of my favourites. It's a live album, and what it actually really shows is that these performers were superb live. And I've said this before, that sometimes you get an artist great on the album, rubbish live, and sometimes you also get an artist who's not really that hot on the album, but really good live. Well, these guys are both. And what we've got here is pretty much, if you own one Fields of the Nephilim album, this is the one to own. Because even though it's a live album, the quality of the recordings are awesome. And we've got all of the big name tracks, things like Moonchild, we've got Preacher Man, Last Exit for the Lost, Psychonaut. Yeah, it's all here. It's almost like a greatest hits, with the added bonus that you're hearing the real atmosphere of live performance. Now, it's not a gatefold, but we get inside here 2 discs, and we actually get some, it's quite eye-catching artwork, and yet you can almost see where perhaps Trent Reznor got some of his inspiration for this sort of weird cover. It could well be, may not be, but it looks to me like there's certainly a connection between the cover art of these two. We've got a bit of copyright information, a little bit of lyrics, things like that. Not an awful lot on these, but again, we've got albums that they're probably about the same quality pressing as the 9 Inch Nails in terms of the grade of the vinyl. Not as heavy duty as the White Lies one, but again, that's something that you tend to find with newer released albums, is they really go that extra mile because vinyl has become so collectible. This particular album, I have actually seen several different versions, even on vinyl of it, and there is a single disc version which I've got knocking around, but of course the sound quality of this double disc version is much improved. So I'm looking on here, it was recorded in 1990, so we're going way back here. I didn't buy it when it first came out. This is something that I kind of got into towards the end of the 1990s, probably about 97. When I went off to university, I kind of discovered Goth a little bit, and Fields of the Nephilim was obviously a must-listen group to be into if you even remotely considered yourself Goth. Actually, I wasn't picky. I had the image of a Goth, but didn't stop me from listening to ABBA and the Spice Girls. If I like something, why should I not listen to it? Anyway, if you like this video, don't forget to like it and also share it too. And this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying until next time, you take very good care of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And until next time, I'll be picking some more vinyl from this wall behind me. You take very good care of yourself, and bye for now.
My name is Deza. I plow the space lanes, picking up debris and salvaging derelicts. It's a dangerous job, but the pay is good. At least I used to think so, before my ship came across our last derelict. We thought it was the payday of a lifetime. We were wrong. Nobody should have to go through what I did on that derelict. I barely made it out. Now they want me to go back.